As I mentioned in a previous video, TIFF is right around the corner, despite constant pushbacks due to the pandemic. So 2020 was a really strange year, so it's really nice to see that festivals are maybe close to capacity and allow the cinematic world to return to a sense of normality. However, there are going to be contingencies put in place for this year's popular Canadian event, such as a potential need for an online event, and that means digital screening. I think there are some that are already being digital, but it might not necessarily mean that all of them are. So as someone that has been to a film festival, I worry about this digital online screening era, simply because nothing beats actually being there. The red carpet, the stage, Q&As with directors and the actors, numerous different venues that you have to visit. It's just all that makes a film festival what a film festival is. But nonetheless, TIFF, since my recent top 5s video, has released a ridiculous amount of films being selected. And in this video, I will do my best to bring to you the highlights and just what to look out for at this year's festival. One thing I want to mention before I start is that TIFF, obviously I'm referring to the Toronto Film Festival and not the Transylvania International Film Festival that shares the same abbreviation. So firstly, usually film festivals give out special retrospective awards to certain individuals. This is the TIFF Tribute Awards. It's kind of like a Lifetime Achievement Award. So this year TIFF Tribute Award will go to Alanis Obasawin, who's an American-Canadian Abenaki filmmaker known for her documentary films. She is very well known in Canada, and particularly with the Anunnaki people, sorry if I've mispronounced that, in particular her documentary 270 Years of Resistance in 1993, and that was about the 1990 ochre crisis. So that won over 18 Canadian and international awards. Tickets are still available and you can buy them in packages for key events and key dates. Now onto the official selection. There are still films that are being selected. On August 11th they will be announcing more from categories like the TIFF Docs, Midnight Madness, shorts and things like that, but the large categories have been released. These include Gala presentations, and basically these are films that include massive movie stars, and they do include like massive major audience interest as well. Then of course you've got Discovery, which is future cinema and directors that are known to be the future of cinema. So one of the most underrated categories, contemporary world cinema. This is basically just films from different regions of the world, showing their films from different angles. And of course special presentations. These are films made up by front-running filmmakers and movies that are making their premieres. And of course a new category this year, which I'm a massive fan of, it's the TIFF Rewinds. These basically just showcase films such as Training Day by Antoine Fuqua, which happens to be one of my all-time favourite films. And of course a special event. This year I believe it's June, and they are essentially usually big mainstream releases that are shown at the largest venue and usually kick off or round off the film festival. It's kind of like the opening ceremony to the Olympics, just minus the fireworks and the flags. So seeing how I've already mentioned them in a previous video, I will start with the Gala presentations, which include Kenneth Branagh's Belfast, which is a very interesting film coming out this year, as well as Danny Scully's Night Raiders, which is the post-apocalyptic film about a mother trying to basically find her daughter. You have Melanie Laurel's The Mad Women's Ball, which is an adaptation of a very famous novel. And of course you have the much anticipated psychological thriller Last Night in Soho, which is Edgar Wright's new film, which is basically about a woman that gets transported through time to the 1960s, and that is London. So I also thought that I'd mention a Canadian release that's called Survivor, which is essentially a biological drama about a boxer who survives a World War II concentration camp, and it sounds really interesting. I feel like this might be a watch. So next up is the Discovery selections. Essentially all of these are making their international and world premieres. Now I'd be lying to you if I told you that I knew many of these filmmakers, so I will just tell you what I do know. For instance, Darwin J. Salmon is an interesting writer and director whose work often blends Jewish stories and themes with dark and gritty subject matter. Films like Parrot and The Dark Outside offer authenticity, so her new premiere, Farha, about a 14-year-old Jewish girl living in 1948 Palestine. She's locked inside her cellar, and this might be really one to watch. It's just very interesting and follows that same theme that the director often follows. So I do believe that consistency is key with many of these filmmakers in this category. Unless it's controversial and very memorable, I feel like like a consistent filmography often keeps them relevant in the film space. And by that I mean, for example, Salmon, she brings out a lot of films that share kind of an auteur theme, a very similar dark theme, and it just really works well, and I feel like a lot of these film festivals do pick her up. But there are a couple of Canadian choice films like The Quickening by Haya Wasim that tackles themes of race, and again Wildhood, directed by Breton Hannon. It's a film about two brothers escaping their abusive father and embarking on a journey to discover their native Canadian heritage. I'm starting to get a massive kind of Native American Canadian theme from a lot of the TIFF 2021 selection, which could really make this year's festival seem unique and memorable, and it highlights themes of self and identity in many of these films. Next, we are talking about a very underrated category, like I've said, and that is contemporary world cinema. Honestly, do yourself a favour and give them a go. Embrace sitting through the subtitles, because at the bottom of all of them is a unique and a culturally significant story. It's important to understand how a film is portrayed in other countries and how their society is outlined in the eyes of these top filmmakers. Take The Box, for example. It's another South American film that tackles the very ideals of the Mexican class system. It mirrors another South American movie that made a hell of a lot of waves tackling the same issues. That film was known as New Order, and if you're interested in a more action-packed kind of thriller independent film, then that one is for you. Now, there are many others to look into, but I do believe that South American cinema is on the hiatus this year for sure, as well as a lot of Spanish-speaking countries, in addition to this kind of uprise that we're seeing. And now my favourite category, special presentations. Like I said before in my previous video, I'm really looking forward to the remake of Guilty, produced by the legend that is Antoine Fuqua. He just knows how to make thrillers. We've also got Michael Francis' Sundown, starring Tim Roth, about a rich British man attempting to leave his old life basically while he's on vacation. Or how about the star-studded The Power of the Dog, Jane Campion's new drama starring Kirsten Dunst and Benedict Cumberbatch. It's about two brothers that own a ranch, and basically this widow comes and changes their life forever. So Campion has done some really great work before, so this has to be good. And that's all I can give you in terms of description, which I feel like it's the best thing about these festivals. They are really ambiguous, so you kind of have to just go with it, buy the ticket, see the film, and it's unlike many mainstream trailers where they just basically just give you everything in the trailer and you're really excited. But for me, I kind of like this ambiguous vibe. Another one is Stephen Carman's Humans, which stars the Walking Dead Stephen Yeun, who is making a lot of waves and a massive impact in independent cinema at the moment. I think this one's going to be a very performance-driven adaptation that will do very well. So again, a couple of Canadian entries to watch would include Charlotte, The Middleman, and Lakewood, directed by Philip Noyce, starring Naomi Watts, which is about a mother who struggles to rescue her son during a school shooting. So there are many authentic and genuine films being premiered and showcased at this year's postponed TIFF. But one thing is for certain, it will still be an event to look out for, and another great festival for filmmakers to show us what we have missed. So bring on TIFF 2021 in September. If you've enjoyed this video and are excited for TIFF 2021, then please hit that like button, and for more future indie film info, please subscribe. But for now, take care everybody.